distinguished service, you need to look no further than Michael Zweig. For all practical purposes, the labor movement is not just part of Michael's life, it is his life. Michael's activism dates back nearly 30 years when he was first elected as a UUP delegate. Since then, he's served as a founding member of UUP's Crisis Mobilization Committee, helping the union reach an agreement that makes outsourcing jobs next to impossible. He is the founder and director of the Stony Brook Institute for the Study of Working Class Life. Many of you have seen him in action on behalf of U.S. labor against the war. Not only did Michael convince the AFT to approve a convention resolution against the war in Iraq 3 years ago, he was also instrumental in organizing a 10-day tour of Iraqi labor leaders to 25 American cities, including his own campus at Stony Brook. Michael has earned this award because of his commitment to unionism, his dedication to political activism, and his tireless advocacy for social justice. And Michael, there is a small camera up here, so I know you'll feel at home. Michael, brothers and sisters, I proudly welcome Michael Zweig as the recipient of the 2009 Unionism Award for Distinguished Service.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me say how much I love the exuberance of youth. The people who just were up here are the future, and the future is bright. So I just want to say to y'all, come on along. We got a lot of work to do, and you're welcome to join in on this grand parade that's going to last for a while still. So there'll be plenty for you to do. So I want to thank, first of all, my own chapter, the Stony Brook chapter, for putting me up for this, and to the membership committee, to the executive board, for singling me out for this honor. And it is an honor. I do remember Nina Mitchell, and I don't quite know how to, I don't quite understand it, but I have to say that it is meaningful that this award comes to me in the name of an African-American woman. That's not nothing. The union that we have here is a real force. It's not just an organization, it's not just having a good time. There's a force here that's for our members, but where the power comes, where that force is in our members. It's the mobilization of our members. If we think that the power comes from the president of our college inviting us to come to a meeting, that's not where it comes from. Putting on a jacket and tie and going and sitting with the president or the provost or the chancellor, that's nice, but if they're letting us in the room, it's only because we got 35,000 people who are telling them that there's no other place for us to be. Now, you have heard me say more than once that we have to learn how to walk across the street and shoot them at the same time. This is a union, this is an organization that has a very, very broad agenda. There's a lot of work for us to do, of course, to deal with the terms and conditions of employment. I've handled grievances on my campus. I've worked on all kinds of questions that directly bear on the terms and conditions of employment for our members. And for myself, let me say. It's not, we're in this because we need to protect ourselves and advance the working conditions that we have. But that's not all, because we can't just think that our working conditions are up to us in our own institution outside of what's going on in the larger society. We, in particular, are in a public university. So why is the public university in so much trouble? Because there's a bunch of people who don't want the public sector doing anything. We see them talking about there's no room for healthcare, public service healthcare. Well, those are the same people who are saying, what do we need public education for? That's the corporations and the people who run those corporations who want to make profit off of our students and profit off of our intellect. And we have to say, that's not why we're teaching. That's not why we're dealing with our students, and that's not why we do intellectual work. It's not for profit, it's for the public. So, to deal with the terms and conditions of our own employment, we have to deal with the whole structure of the society. We can't be a union that just looks after what's the wage increase or what's the grievance. We have to look after what kind of society do we have? What kind of a people are we? What kind of a country are we building? Working people have an answer to that which is different from the answer that's given by the people who run the corporations. We stand with the people who work for a living, as we do, to have a kind of society that backs off the power of the corporate elite and puts forward the power of working people. That's what we have to do. And that, in this moment, let me say, is quite an interesting task. Just think about what we've got going on in the country. We have in the AFL-CIO, of which we're an affiliate, a new president, Rich Trumka. Now, Rich Trumka is an interesting man. Coal miner, but not just a coal miner. George Meany, who was the president of the AFL-CIO when I was coming up, George Meany was proud he never walked a picket line. It's true. He was proud he never walked the picket line. Lane Kirkland, who became president of the AFL-CIO after him, when he died, the Wall Street Journal had an obit. I'll never forget it. You know, the Wall Street Journal, before Murdoch took over and they had photographs in there, they only had line drawings, right? This little engraving. So they had a little engraving of Lane Kirkland, president of the AFL-CIO, when he died, and it said, Lane Kirkland, anti-communist. That's what was in the Wall Street Journal and why they thought he was such a great labor leader. That was their opinion. Rich Trumka led an 8-month strike at Piston Coal that fought the National Guard. That was a militant battle, and they won. The miners in Southwest Virginia beat Piston Coal, and Rich Trumka led that battle. We need to learn from what that guy did. But he needs to learn from what we can do. That's a two-way street, which means that we have to do what he can learn from. Right? Otherwise, what are we doing? You know, we have to build a labor movement that actually makes a mark that people elsewhere around the country will recognize and that we can echo in our own work. We see that in the new leadership of the AFL-CIO. There's a possibility there. We see it in the debate that's going on in the country now about Afghanistan. What do we have to say as a union about that? What do we have to say as a people about that war? Tomorrow we'll have a resolution in front of the delegates and we'll see what we have to say. The whole labor movement is talking about it. Healthcare, contingent labor, gay and lesbian labor, and life, the public sector, all these things. We have to be active. We have to organize. We can't just sit there and watch what happens. It's our responsibility to make it happen. So I just want to say there's nothing I've done that you all can't do. There's nothing I've done that I haven't done because you all said, let's go do it. If you think about it, I've done nothing that hasn't been approved in this delegate assembly. Because this union is you, it's not just me. So let's keep going, and let's bring these young people along and keep doing it. Thank you very much.
As we close our program tonight, let me remind the new delegates that we're going to meet with you in the Wilmerine room for a brief dessert reception. For the rest of the delegates, we're going to be seeing you at 8 o'clock at the opening of the plenary meeting. But I just want to a moment ago, and that is